Hello and welcome to our first video attempt at brewing beer here at Bookworm Brewing, also known as my kitchen. Here's some of the things that you're going to need. Mostly 5 gallons of water. Each of these are 2.5. We've actually taken some of this out and put it in the freezer to help cool down later. Of course, here's the kit, the malt, the seasoning hops, the flavor hops, priming sugar, which we're not going to use today. We used that when we bought it. The yeast, which has been activated. It's a big deal that it needs to be activated and ready to go. Of course, the fermenter bucket, big spoon, and a thermometer for when we're done. Some other things that we'll be using later is a big jug to help us cool off everything, and of course, one giant pot. This is holds about 7 gallons. Normally, you can do it with starting with the 3 to 4 gallons, and then topping off in the fermenting bucket.
Okay.
Alright, what we're doing now is we're adding the second 2.5 gallons to the pot. Takes quite a while. Recommend using spring water. Do not use distilled water or tap water, because often those come with chlorine and they'll kill the yeast and you'll end up with flat beer after all this work. Alright, we got our water in the pot. Take our pot, move it over to the stove. And almost burned myself. Now this has to come to a boil before we can add anything to it. And it's almost 5 gallons of water, so it's going to take a very long time. Alright, what we're doing now is we're opening the malt. It's basically a lot of sugar. The plants, the barley or whatever, added in, boiled down, made into this thick syrup, which is a pain to get out of this bag. Now, good idea is to turn off the heat when you're adding this so it doesn't burn on the bottom of the pot, because that would not be good eats. But it does take a while to get it moved through. As you can see, it's really, really thick molasses type stuff. But it's nothing more than sugar and plant extracts. Probably for this one it would be, I don't know, what do you think, Stephen? Wheat? No, this would be a barley for a red. But it just takes forever to get it out of here. You need to get as much of it out as you can. A lot of companies use cans. I don't recommend them. I've tried them before, but they did not turn out very well. Alright, we're getting there. This is what gives the beer its sweetness and color. We've also had these things, put the bag of malt into a sink full of hot water to make it more pliable. Or more viscous, actually. Yes, I used the big word. Your big spoon. Try to get as much of it off as you can. And stir it in. Make sure you get it all off the bottom before you turn the heat back on. But remember, the water has to be boiling when this goes in. You think that's enough, Stephen? Alright, here in a few minutes, we're going to bring it back up to a boil.
I can't goddamn believe it.
After 5 minutes, we're going to add the first batch of hops. And right, so as you can see, it's been 5 minutes at a boil, and this is the hops. This is basically a type of flour that's been crushed and put down into pellets. You can buy it everything from bigger pellets to whole. Do not use fine ground. It just never comes out of the beer right. But what you do is once we get it back up to a boil, we're pretty close to it. Come on. You pour in, this is the flavoring hops. This is what gives the beer its nice bitter note. It smells really good. Wish you could smell it, but I'm gonna add that in and stir it in. It looks stupid. I know it doesn't look that good right now, but that's just the hops in the beer going from that pellet form back into a flake form. And what we're going to do is we're going to stir this, let it boil for 55 minutes, and then 5 minutes from, well, actually another 50 minutes. And then 5 minutes from the end, we add in the flavoring hops, which will give it that last note. Stephen can get the DVD player to work. Okay. So now if you have a look at it, it does look a bit green, but it is beginning to smell like beer. Alright, a few minutes ago we added the flavoring hops, and then we put the boiling pot. This was Stephen's brilliant idea. Makes it cool down a lot faster. If you do it in the sink, it can take as much as 4 to 5 hours. If you don't do anything at all, it can take as much as 12. The faster you cool it, the clearer the beer will be. The solid particulates will settle to the bottom faster. So we took this big, like $2 bucket from Dollar General, a couple of bricks in the bottom to stop the hot pot from melting the plastic of the bucket, and just filled it with ice. What you want to do is you want to get it down from, right now it's at 190 degrees. You want to get it down here to about 70. Anything over that will kill the yeast, and you'll end up with flat beer.
Go.
Okay, so we've got it all chilled in the big bucket, and Stephen and I are going to take it and very carefully try not to make a mess, and pour what is called the wort, which is unfermented beer, into the fermenter. Now you want to try to do this as smoothly as possible. Keep the air out of it, and to make sure that the stuff called the turb, T-U-R-B, stays in the boil pot. It does take a while, because there's 5 gallons of this stuff. When you start to see solids going in, you want to stop. And you get this wonderful green sludge. That's called the turb. Right. Last thing we do, before we put it on to age, is we take the yeast, which has been activated. If you buy one of the Williams kits, it's got to look like this. It's got to be expanded fully, or it's not going to work. Give it a good shake. Cut off the edge and pour the yeast into the wort. And you take the lid, put it on top of your fermenter, take your airlock. This is very important. You got to get this right. What it does, it allows the gases to escape from the wort, but not allow anything to go into it. So you put it down. Take just a little bit of water and pour it around the airlock. There's a little line on the airlock. Finish assembling. And then keep at a constant temperature for about 14 days.